Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital Friday, August 16 recap. Jason uncovers Valentin's med tampering. Mac and Cody's father-son moment. General Hospital, GH, spoilers recap for Friday, August 16, reveals that Maxie Jones, Kirsten Storms, hugged James West, Gary James Fuller, following his rescue, and was grateful to Cody Bell, Josh Kelly, for saving him. Mac Scorpio, John J. York, was thankful as well and admitted to James that he made a mistake by trying to keep him away from Cody. After Mac revealed that Cody was his son, he suggested he was lashing over all the time they missed together. However, Mac stressed the importance of family being there no matter what and always forgiving each other. James was thrilled over Cody being his uncle and eventually went off to get some dry clothes. Maxie, Felicia Scorpio, Christina Wagner, and Sasha Gilmore Corbin, Sophia Matson, were all thrilled over thaw between Mac and Cody, which led to them hugging it out in a sweet moment. Afterward, Cody joined Sasha at the stables and kissed her since he was feeling so elated. At Laura Collins, Jenny Francis' office, she met with Jack Brennan, Charles Mazur, and Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, to ask them to find Valentin Cassadine, James Paddock Stewart, but they made excuses to avoid it. Once Laura stepped out briefly, Anna bickered with Brennan and suspected he was hiding Valentin's location. Later, Laura received a phone call and looked worried as she told Anna it was about Lulu Spencer, last played by M. Raylan. At GH, Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mancy, was about to be discharged, but she struggled with the idea of leaving the hospital without her baby and told Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn, about her split from Blaze aka Allison Nahali Rogers, Jacqueline Grace Lopez. Dr. Frida Navarro, Christina Ferrero, had good news for Christina since she was expected to make a full recovery physically, but Christina didn't have high hopes for recovering emotionally. Meanwhile, TJ Ashford, Tatch Bello, was frustrated over Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaginos, being late for their meeting with Stella Henry, Fernie Watson, and Curtis Ashford, Donald Turner, so he suggested they should start without her. Stella was in the process of helping with all the arrangements and needed to finalize the baby's birth certificate. Since TJ and Molly still hadn't settled on a name, Stella insisted they could fill that part in later. Molly joined the meeting late after getting stuck at work, so there was tension with TJ at first. However, Stella made a speech about the importance of leaning on each other during tragic times. Molly privately filled TJ in on confronting Ava and not getting a confession out of her. Afterward, Molly crossed paths with Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn, and wound up ranting about Christina going to Ava's room, but Alexis didn't think she should blame her sister who was also hurting. At a rundown warehouse, Scott Baldwin, Kin Schreiner, told Clement Moore, Philip Cass, that he was going to help him flee from Sonny Corinthos, Morris Bernard, and left to buy snacks for the Spoon Island trip. Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, received word that Scott had been tracked to a rough part of town, so he assumed his was about Clement and headed to the address. Once Jason arrived, he demanded the truth and got Clement to admit Sonny's meds were at 1/4 strength until Ava blackmailed him into providing full placebos. Jason wanted to know who originally ordered Clement to alter the meds, so he admitted it was Valentin Cassadine. Nearby, Scott got spooked over Jason being there and bailed after dropping his snack bag. At the gallery, Joan Cates, Adam J. Harrington, suggested they could spin the photos to make it seem like Ava defended herself against raging Christina, who was a federal witness and on a fatal mission to protect her father. John insisted he could go after Christina for attempted murder, but then he got updates from Scott on Jason finding Clement. Ava feared Sunny would come for her next, but Agent Kate still planned to protect her and told her to wait for him there. Later, TJ showed up looking for the truth about Ava's confrontation with Christina. Ava naturally blamed Christina for the whole thing, so TJ fumed over Christina's culpability. Back at the hospital, Sonny spoke to Christina and insisted he wouldn't kill Ava since he didn't want that weighing on his daughter's heart. Christina was upset since she still wanted Ava to face a grim fate, but Sonny stood his ground and suggested there were other ways to make people pay. Once Christina was wheeled out for her discharge, John waltzed in and said she was under arrest as Sonny, Alexis, and Molly all stood there reeling. General Hospital spoilers say John's latest move obviously won't go over well with Sonny, so we'll pass along predictions on Sonny's revenge. The tension in Port Charles had been brewing for weeks, but Friday, August 16, marked a turning point that no one saw coming. The day began with a quiet unease, but by the time the sun set, the lives of several key residents were irrevocably altered. Jason's discovery. Jason Morgan was never one to sit idle, especially when he suspected foul play. For weeks, he had been quietly investigating the strange behavior of several Port Charles residents, all of whom had been under the care of Valentin Cassadine. Valentin, always the master manipulator, had somehow wormed his way into the town's medical affairs, especially those of the more vulnerable residents. But Jason, with his sharp instincts and connections, had a gut feeling that something wasn't right. That afternoon, Jason found himself in the shadowy corridors of General Hospital, where he cornered a nervous lab technician. The tech, whose eyes darted around, as if expecting Valentin to leap from the shadows, handed over a file he'd been guarding with his life. "This is what you're looking for," the tech whispered, his voice barely audible over the hum of the hospital. The file contained damning evidence. Records of altered medications, patients who had been given placebo instead of real treatment, and falsified test results. Valentin had been tampering with meds for weeks, if not months, but to what end? Jason's mind raced as he flipped through the pages, his jaw tightening with each revelation. As he pieced together the puzzle, it became clear. Valentin had been using these altered medications as part of a twisted experiment. Whether it was to test the loyalty of his allies or to control his enemies, Jason wasn't sure, but one thing was certain. Valentin had crossed a line, and Jason was determined to make him pay. Confrontation in the Cassadine mansion. Armed with the evidence, Jason made his way to the Cassadine mansion. The Gothic structure loomed ominously on Spoon Island, shrouded in the evening mist. Jason wasn't one for dramatics, but even he felt a chill as he approached the mansion's grand entrance. The stakes were higher than ever. This confrontation could either end in Valentin's downfall or Jason's own. Valentin, ever the tactician, was expecting him. As Jason stepped into the lavishly decorated parlor, Valentin was seated in an armchair, a glass of whiskey in hand. "Jason," Valentin greeted him with a sly smile. "What brings you to my humble abode?" Jason wasted no time, tossing the file onto the table in front of Valentin. "You've been playing with people's lives, Valentin. This ends now." Valentin's smile faltered as he opened the file, but he quickly recovered. "I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding," he replied smoothly, though the flicker of fear in his eyes betrayed him. Jason stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. "The only misunderstanding is how you thought you could get away with this."